Hey, folks, and welcome to week number 12. So, this week, in preparation for working on text number 4, I really want us to sort of dig into how different multimedia formats work. Okay. So, I've got two goals here. Number one is for you guys to understand how it is we put something together. How do we put a video together? How do we put a podcast sort of thing together? And the other goal I've got for you is for you to consider what the strengths and weaknesses of each of these are. As you think about the goal you've laid out for yourself with text number 4, you also need to think through what media is going to be most effective at communicating that. Now, you already identified a possible media in your rhetorical analysis worksheet that was due on Monday, and I'll give you guys some feedback on that. But I really want you to take this week to continue considering that. Think through it some more. I'll give you a great example. I've got a student in my other class who's doing her text about anime. And she said, I feel comfortable recording audio, so I think I could do a podcast. And I said, okay. And we kind of started talking about what she wanted to show and what she wanted to talk about when it came to anime. And one of the things that came out, of course, was that, the imagery of it was really important. I said, well, we might have an issue with a podcast. One of the things a podcast cannot do, of course, is illustrate that imagery. So she decided she's going to end up doing a video so she can include those images. Okay. There are strengths and weaknesses of each one. And one of our goals this week is to discover those and think through which of these formats is going to be most useful for us moving forward with text 4. So, what do we need to do this week? Multimodal composition strategies. A short chapter from Writing Spaces talks about how we go about putting all of this together. So please read that before we do anything else. From there, I want you to take a look at the media practice instructions. I'm going to go ahead and pop this open right now. So what we're going to do is I'm asking you guys to create a video, an audio recording or podcast, a multimedia text, and photo essay. And the requirement for this week is to do 3 of those 4. You get bonus points for doing all 4. Here are the guidelines I want you to think about. So my first thought here is start by writing an introduction to text 4, okay? Pay particular attention to just presenting the current situation and clarifying your focus such that your reader, your listener, your viewer, whatever, understands where we are right now. Think about this as maybe 2 paragraphs, maybe 3, but not more than that. Okay. From there, I want you to go ahead and record that introduction in audio and video formats. Okay. And we'll take a look at these in just a second. So for each media format, ensure that you have at least 2 layers. And again, I'll show you this in a second, but for an audio or podcast, make sure there are at least 2 tracks, one of your voice and at least one of music, sound effects, whatever. For a video, make sure there are at least 2 layers. Again, audio and image, graph, charts, whatever. Okay, so audio plus this. Or it could be video interspersed with additional images, charts, whatsoever, and audio. Okay. Our goal here is to practice with different formats, both to understand, again, how to do them technologically to get you guys some practice on this, but also to get a feel for what works well in each media format. I'm going to go back to our main page here so I can kind of show you how this all comes together. I've got a series of folders with some tutorials in them here, and I'll show you those in just a second. I just kind of wanted to point out what we've got. Video sample, audio podcast, a sample audio visual presentation, like a slide presentation with audio overlay. Think about this a little bit like a TED Talk, although without the cool headset and whatnot, walking around on the black stage. And then a photo essay assignment, okay? A photo essay we want to think about as like the we've seen a few different things. When a kid's bedroom isn't just a bedroom. Earlier in the semester, we looked at a piece by a chef in California, about a chef in California who created a fast food restaurant in Watts. And then, of course, There's No Such Thing as a Free Watch. That piece, those are all photo essays. So they're kind of photo heavy essays, okay? Now our word count's going to remain the same-ish, regardless of which one of these do. It's sort of about what rhetorical moves we make in the process of putting these together, okay? Now, I'm not really concerned with what you record and what images you add in at this point, but it's a good head start to write that introduction, as I said before, and use that as the text we're going to record for these assignments. Okay. That's going to give you a head start. It's also going to help you to sort of see with your specific topic, what do you think is or isn't going to work well. Okay. So again, these are just assignment folders to submit these to. About a minute long video, a minute long audio recording. You know, you go to 2, 3, 4 minutes, doesn't matter. That's totally fine. I'm not worried about that. Um, and again, there are two purposes here. One is just practice the technology. The other is to understand what that particular media format does. Okay. Now, each one of these folders, remember these open and close, okay, has got a series of tutorials in it. So like the video tutorial, that's one I put together, sort of explain how to video editing software in general works. And then there's a tutorial on how to use iMovie. If you're a Mac user, I'm a big fan of using iMovie. If you've got an iPad or iPhone, you can do the vast majority of this on those devices. iMovie works a little bit differently in iOS, so I'll give you a separate link for that. If you're a Windows user, a video editor from Windows it's built into all Windows computers. It works really remarkably well. I actually use it to create videos for class from time to time. And then YouTube Studio, fully web-based. If you've got a Chromebook, for example, we do have institutional YouTube accounts because you guys are Prairie State students, and so you can use YouTube Studio as well to work there. And then a multi-platform piece called OpenShot. And so these are all tutorials that sort of give you an overview of how to work with these. I actually think that once you get into them and play with them, if you haven't created a video or a podcast sort of thing before, you're going to find that it's really not as complex as you might anticipate. Same thing for audio tutorials. My audio tutorial, I think I use Audacity in that video. And I give the link here. That works across a lot of different platforms. I don't know that it works on Chrome. There was at one point a Chrome version of it. If you can find it, great. But certainly Windows and iOS and Mac OS, OS X. Hokusai Audio Editor works in iOS. Rev Voice Recorder, I find is a higher quality than most voice recorders just built into your phones. One of the things we're going to find here is the microphones in our smartphones and in our computers are actually really good at doing high quality audio. Your cell phone, your smartphones will be better at this than your computers in general. So one thing I recommend is you record your text using the microphones on your smartphone if you've got those. And again, Rev is a great piece, and it works in iOS and Android free as well. Beautiful Audio Editor is a web-based audio piece of audio software. There's more out there than what I'm giving you. I'm just trying to give you sort of a base to start with, okay? When it comes to audio-visual presentations, again, I've got my own tutorial here. Google Slides. This is one place I'm a big fan of the Google ecosystem. I think Google Docs is really fantastic. I'm a big fan of it. Slides is one place where they're relatively weak. If you've got a Windows or an Apple machine and have access to PowerPoint, PowerPoint just does this better. I do give you tutorials for both these. And then if you remember the piece on the theory of relativity that we looked at, that was actually done in a web-based piece of software called Prezi. So there's a quick tutorial on that. Personally, I find Prezi too finicky from the creation aspect, so I'm not a big fan of it. But there are lots of teachers out there who use it in class, and lots of video editors who use it who love it. So that's an option for you as well. When it comes to photo essays, by and large here, this is really just a Microsoft Word or Google Docs thing. And again, there's some quick videos here on both of those, and again, a tutorial that I put together. The bottom line here is watch my tutorials for each of these four, and then go to platform-specific software that you think you might want to use. If this is something you're well-versed in already, maybe you create YouTube videos in your spare time, or your friends actually record a podcast. This is probably not something you need me to tell you how to do. You're probably better at this than I am. And that's fine. Use whatever software works for you. I'm not worried about that. The bottom line here is just to turn it in. If it's a video and it's too big to turn in through D2L, and there's a pretty hefty size limit there. This doesn't typically happen. So you can generally upload WAV files, you can upload MP4s, lots of different formats. You can always upload it to YouTube and just submit the link as your assignment as well. What I want is to be able to watch it, whether that's me downloading it or listen to it, or if that's clicking on it and going somewhere. Okay. If you run into issues with submission of particularly the video and audio, which are going to be your big ones, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will be absolutely glad to help you. You can always do a Google file share through Google Drive. Okay. So that's our work for this week. Again, whole week is just really dedicated to digging in and seeing how these pieces work, how these different media formats can be used rhetorically in our text to convey a message. So good luck. It should be a fun week, I think. If you've got any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am here to help.